In 1760, to a minor German princess named Sophia Augusta Frederica orchestrated a coup that toppled her husband Emperor Peter III and claimed the Russian throne for herself, renaming as Catherine II in a blood-soaked dawn that would echo through centuries. But by November 17, 1796, as her body lay cold in the Winter Palace after a sudden stroke, her enemies unleashed a venomous lie that twisted her legacy into something grotesque, a tale of depravity involving a horse that would scandalize Europe and haunt history forever. If that single rumor could eclipse an empire builder's life, what dark truths lurk behind the myth? Tonight, we unravel the real story of Catherine the Great's infamous horse scandal, a web of ambition, betrayal, and slander that proves how the powerful are often destroyed not by swords, but by whispers. Picture a frozen landscape in 1744, where a 14-year-old girl crosses the snowbound roads from Anhalt-Zerbst to St. Petersburg, her breath clouding the carriage windows as she leaves behind a life of quiet obscurity. Sophia, daughter of a minor Prussian prince, carries her father's parting words like a talisman. Russia will not bend to you. You must bend to Russia. She arrives in a court of glittering excess and hidden daggers, selected as bride for the heir, Grand Duke Peter, a petulant boy more enamored with toy soldiers than the weight of crowns. The marriage in 1745 is a spectacle of gold and orthodoxy, but beneath the vows, it's a prison of indifference. Peter, erratic and cruel, parades mistresses and mocks her in public, their union unconsummated for years, leaving Sophia isolated in a palace where every shadow hides a spy. Yet in that isolation, something fierce awakens. She devours books, Voltaire's wit, Montesquieu's philosophies, histories of ancient conquerors transforming humiliation into hunger for power. By 1754, she bears an heir, Paul, amid whispers that Peter may not be the father, but she endures, weaving alliances with guardsmen and nobles who see in her the stability their weak heir lacks. The turning point comes in 1761, when Empress Elizabeth dies, thrusting Peter onto the throne as Peter III. His reign is a catastrophe of folly. He idolizes Prussia, Russia's bitter enemy, alienates the Church with Lutheran reforms, and offends the army by halting a victorious war. Whispers turn to plots as Peter threatens to divorce Sophia, now Catherine, and confine her to a convent. But she has spent 17 years preparing her lovers like Gregory Orlov, not mere dalliances, but strategic bonds, forging loyalty in the Imperial Guard. In July 1762, with Orlov at her side, Catherine rides into St. Petersburg clad in a colonel's uniform, the guards swearing fealty as Peter cowers in his summer palace. He abdicates in terror, and within days, he is dead, strangled in a murky accident that Catherine neither confirms nor denies. At 33, she crowns herself Empress, a foreigner with no blood claim, seizing the largest realm in Europe through sheer will. The world watches in awe and unease, for here is a woman who has bent Russia to her, not the other way around. Her rule begins with enlightened fervor. In 1767, she convenes the Legislative Commission, inviting delegates from across the empire to debate reforms inspired by her correspondence with philosophers like Diderot. She vaccinates herself against smallpox in 1768, a bold act that saves thousands, and founds schools, hospitals, and the Smolny Institute for Noble Girls, envisioning a Russia enlightened and modern. Yet darkness creeps in. The Pugachev Rebellion erupts in 1773, led by Emelian Pugachev, a Cossack claiming to be the resurrected Peter III, rallying serfs with promises of freedom from noble tyranny. Towns burn, landlords are slaughtered, and for 2 years, the empire teeters on chaos. Catherine's response is merciless. Her armies crushed the uprising by 1775. Pugachev caged and quartered in Moscow's Red Square, his limbs displayed as warnings. The rebellion scars her, hardening her reforms. She grants nobles even greater control over serfs in 1785, binding millions to lives of inherited suffering. Expansion becomes her obsession. Wars against the Ottomans in 1768 to 1774 and 1787 to 1791 seized Crimea and Black Sea ports, while partitions of Poland in 1772, 1793, and 1795 erase a nation, swelling Russia's borders to unprecedented vastness. Through it all, her personal life fuels envy and intrigue. Lovers like Stanislaus Poniatowski, whom she installs as King of Poland in 1764, or the brilliant Gregory Potemkin, her partner in passion and policy from 1774, are rewarded with lands and titles. Europe gossips, branding her insatiable, but Catherine wields intimacy as power, her choices pragmatic shields against loneliness and courtly isolation. By the 1790s, as revolution ravages France, she turns conservative, censoring radical ideas and exiling critics, her once enlightened court now a fortress of autocracy. Yet as her health falters, the whispers grow louder, enemies abroad and heirs at home plotting to tarnish her name. On November 16, 1796, she collapses alone, her body failing from a stroke, servants carrying her to bed where she lingers in coma until death the next day. But in the vacuum of her passing, a monstrous rumor takes root, one so vile will eclipse her triumphs. Diving into these shadows of history, piecing together the fragments of a life that still echoes with power, and peril it's the kind of journey that keeps me up at night, wondering what truths we've lost to time. If Catherine's story has pulled you into this web of intrigue, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. There are more forgotten scandals waiting, and I want you right there with me when we uncover them. As the coffin seals and mourning bells toll across St. Petersburg, a lie slithers from the salons of Paris to the courts of Vienna, tale not of strokes or natural ends, but of a depraved accident, involving a horse crafted to humiliate the Empress who dared to rule like no woman before. But how did such poison spread, and what darker truths does it conceal?